Tuesday morning in this first week of September. So happy to be here. We had a great holiday yesterday, and now it's time to jump back in the saddle and get to work. And that's what we're going to do this morning is get to work. So every Tuesday, we're going to bring information about a topic, some tools, some training to help us move our work along, especially during a new digital era. Things are changing, things are crazy. And today, we are going to talk all about digital organizing. This is a topic that we have been melding through. We did a training this summer, and we did a training with our girls with cyber justice on digital organizing, and we are going to do one with you guys today at live. And when I say we, I am bringing up my friend and my amazing law clerk from this summer, Makala Graves. Hello, Makala.
Good morning.
Good morning. So Makala is incredible, y'all. She has been just a dope asset, not just to me, but to Citizen She, moving our work forward tremendously all summer. She is the brainchild behind putting all of the crazy thoughts in my head and making sure that I'm able to present it in a concise manner. And she's done some presentations herself. And so it's been really great working with you, Makala. And I love having you part of our Citizen She family.
I definitely love being a part of it. This past summer, this fall, it's definitely changed a lot for me and given me a lot of purpose in the things I want to do.
I love you. All right, Makala, we promised them a quick 10 to 15 minute overview of digital organizing, right? So we are going to, I'm setting the clock timer. We even have a meeting right after. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And hopefully I can do this right, Makala. And here we go. So who are we? My name is Nia Weeks. I'm the founder and executive director of Citizen She and Citizen She United. Who are you, Makala?
I'm Makala Graves. I am a 2L at Loyola. I almost forgot my school's name, Loyola University in New Orleans, and I'm also your law clerk.
Yes, I love it. So we are going to do this quick 15-minute digital organizing training. You think we can do it in 15 minutes, Makala?
I think we can do it in less.
All right, awesome. But here we go. Makala, tell them what digital organizing is.
So digital organizing is it's a practice of building a digital presence in community. It's rooted in trust in order to move people to do some action online and confront the state and build power.
Right. And this is a little bit different than regular organizing because we're doing stuff online. And we're doing stuff with a specific purpose. And can you talk a little bit, Makala, about like when you first heard digital organizing, what did you think about? What was your impression of what it was?
I really wasn't sure what it meant. I thought maybe digital organizing was something like promotions or just a way to communicate. But digital organizing isn't the same as a communication strategy. We aren't just trying to push out information. We're trying to inspire action and build momentum and cultivate community.
Right. And doing it online and not in person is a little bit different.
Right.
And what advantages do you think that we have being able to do it online as opposed to being able to do it in person? Because when we're in person, we get to touch each other, we can read body language, and we can, do a lot of other interpersonal things. But that's missing when we're doing stuff online. But what benefits do you think that we have when we're doing it online?
I think the ability to reach our audience quicker and reach more people in our audience can reach out to their audience, and it just kind of spreads from there. So in-person organizing is great, traditional organizing, but when we're trying to reach a wide audience quickly, digital organizing is definitely the way to go.
I completely agree with that. So the first thing when we're talking about digital organizing is you got to figure out who we're talking to, right? And who we are and what we're trying to say. And so the first thing that we always do when we do this training is we talk about our people, right? Makala, who are your people?
My people are Black women, young, old, just Black women. When we think about identifying our people, we have to take a second to think about who our people are and how we feel when we're in a room with just our people. So things that group cares about and who they listen to. So when I think about that, I feel safe, seen, and heard and celebrated when I'm in a room full of Black women. So I definitely identify Black women as my people.
I agree with the same thing, Makala. The world tosses a whole bunch of stuff at us, but there's some kind of comfort and continuity that I feel when I'm in a room full of Black women, and Black women are being what Black women do best, and that's loving community, loving each other, and supporting each other, right? And so you have to understand who your people are, right? Makala, can you talk to them about what it means to understand, why this is so important, why this is such an important piece?
You have to think about when you're trying to communicate with your people, you have to understand what's important to them, and who they're going to listen to and like what activates them as a group. And you need to be able to talk directly to them to get your message across. So understanding your people is extremely important in conveying your message.
Mm-hmm.
So you must
go ahead. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So you have to talk directly to them. That includes like your lingo. When you're speaking to your audience, you have to make sure you're talking about the things that they care about and that your message resonates with people's experience, their values, and inspires them.
Absolutely. And I think often like the best part of this is understanding how, even though it's the group you identify with, I love Black women, but we're not a monolith, and I'm a room full of Black women. I'm in a room full of views all over the place. And I think especially now, we all are coming from different vantage points. We all have a desire for our community, for our people, for the people that we love to be good, safe, and healthy. But we don't all think that of the same way to get there. We don't all feel the same about everything. And so understanding and listening and being open to how other people are feeling that are a part of your group helps you better understand how to navigate and activate them in the best way possible.
I agree.
Awesome. So what happens? Okay, so I know my people, right? I got these Black women. They go. I'm rocking with these Black women hard. What happens when you find out who your people are? You've listened. What does that allow us to do?
It helps you create a better narrative and craft a better message to talk directly to your people. So once you know who they are, you can start to understand their experiences and their values, and you can tailor your content to speak directly to them. And once you know who you're talking to and you can talk directly to them, you don't have to fear losing your audience because they're not your intended audience in the first place.
That's real.
You can provide opportunities for your people to stay connected. You guys can share cultural moments, that may not resonate with people outside of that audience. And then it just makes for a better experience for everyone. We know that, you can tell when somebody's talking to you. Like I can spot an ad and be like, okay, I think they're talking to me.
Mm-hmm. That's very real. And one thing I appreciate with this is like, when we talk with our girls with cyber justice, is you get to think outside the box, right? So many times when people are trying to tailor something in one specific way, you're trying to do it in a way that makes sense with everything we know. But when you're organizing with your people, you can throw all of that out the window and everything is available. And so you can be really, really creative in how you talk to your people, organize your people, and bring them in because it's specifically tailored to and for them. And that's part of that listening exercise and really understanding how all people within your circle and within your group that you identify with, how they all feel and respecting, what will motivate each of them. And it could be different. It can all be different.
Definitely.
Yes. Okay. So once we found our people, and we're, I'm ready to get them out. What happens then, Makala? Like, what is the next space that we can attack?
You find your power. Like once you identify your people, you find your community, we find our power. So you build your connections based on those shared values and experiences. And that online foundation may help you offline as well. So we find better opportunities to organize together when we find our community and we identify that power.
Yeah. Makala, can you give some examples from this summer that when we were talking to Black women and navigating with Black women and trying to find ways to communicate with them and get our message across? What were the spaces that you found that we were actually activating our power in activism?
We had so many different opportunities. Even
the last digital organizing training that we did. Yeah.
I know when we were sharing in the last digital organizing training about identifying our people, and a lot of us shared stories, we're all like, yeah, I've been there. I felt that. I go through that too. And so we found community right there in that space. And a lot of those people then reached out to me after we put on the digital organizing training to share their projects and say, you're my people and I want to put you in this space as well. So we found a lot of community and power just in that.
Absolutely. And when community connects with each other, it builds the power. So we are Citizens She United. We're sitting in our silo. We identify our people and we find all these other groups across the state, across the country that are doing similar work, invested similarly, but doing different projects and different programs. And so they come be a part of our projects and programs. We come be a part of their projects and programs. And we are both able to grow. And the power that we both have increases because we're all working together. I think it's really dope. All right, so we talked a little bit about, what it feels like to be in a room for your people. And I want to go back to this because, this is like one specific example of like how messaging can be targeted to a group to make this happen. Makala, how do you feel? And you talked a little bit about like when something is directed at you, like when they're talking to you. How does that make you feel?
It definitely makes me feel seen and heard. It makes me feel like they care about what's going on in my life or issues that are important to me. So when we are targeting our audience, it's very important to be specific about who we're talking to. And you can do that with lingo, images, video, whatever it takes. But it's always a reminder there that neutral tones and messaging, it speaks directly to white men. So if that isn't your audience, you have to be intentional about crafting your messages. And so that's just one way to do it. When they said find our girls, I know exactly what they were talking about. And I knew they were speaking directly to me and people like me.
Absolutely. All right, so we got to tell a story, right? Can you talk a little bit about telling the story, defining what our story is going to be?
So we shape our reality through the stories told in all sorts of mediums. So it's really powerful. And in part of telling our story, we have to combat the toxic narratives that are linked to our campaign or our project. So it's crucial to understand the narratives we have about ourselves and, how they have political implications. So narratives are power and they define people's realities. And you can't just do that with a single message.
Yeah. And you talked a little bit about, the dominant narratives, right? And the negative narratives, right? And so how harmful can those be and what can we do and what kind of impact does it have on community when we're trying to organize?
So those toxic narratives, we can even take on those toxic narratives ourselves because we see it so often from other groups that we start to believe it. And Some of those things that you see are like, Black men are super predators, or, reconciliation of the welfare queen, or Latinx people are criminals, things of that nature. So it's our job to interrupt these narratives and imagine new stories. And as we move from narratives to creating specific messages, we want to ground ourselves in the core story behind what we're fighting for. We know that actual stories and not dry messaging, that is actual stories and not dry messaging that moves people. So storytelling is a tool to curate a community in that culture, that positions us to, meet our goal and take action. And we have to be very intentional about that.
Agreed. And when we look at this slide, we see these incorrect and harmful narratives that result in these harmful practices. Imagine what the positive, different kind of narrative has able to do, and what we're able to gain. And so I appreciate you telling me that storytelling is actually one of the strong points that we have, and one of the main points that we use. And we have people who are most impacted, the people who want to tell their story. Everybody's story is valid. If they're your people, then all their experiences, all their stories are valid, even if they don't coincide with your own, because the goal is to activate them to do work and to move forward. And you have to listen to them, but you also have to allow them to talk and tell their own stories.
Right.
So when we create stories and we're developing a narrative that is counter to those negative narratives that we talked about, what happens, Makala?
So kind of like it shows in the picture, it's a push and pull. So we have to be very intentional about the messages we're creating. And again, we have to ground ourselves in the core story of what we're fighting for. So we need to oppose what the opposition is basically saying about us, and giving the other side to it.
Absolutely. And put your audience in the front row, right? It's not about you. It's about them. And so what does that mean, Makala, to put your audience in the front row, and not necessarily yourself or your own ideas and thoughts?
I think that can be done in a number of ways. So going back to identifying who your people are, we have to know what is important to them, and what they value, and what's going on in their current lives. And we need to center that in our work and make sure that our messages are responsive to the times.
Absolutely. All right. So we're going to give everyone some homework, right, Makala? Because, you can't do a lesson and not get some homework, right? And so the next step, once you know who your people are, you know what you want to get them to do, and you figure out ways that you can build power. Then it's all about building the content to put out there so that you can start moving the work forward, right? And so you got to build a social media toolkit. You got to have it. And so let's quickly, there's 8 things on here, Makala. You want to quickly just tell them what is necessary for them to build the social media toolkit?
Yes. And so first, you want to create your campaign, whatever whatever it is that you're working towards. And you can do that through a set of email chains, or if you're going to make social media posts, whatever you choose. And then with that, you need to be intentional about your messaging. Make sure your messages are responsive to the times, like we mentioned. For example, your messaging should relate to what's going on in people's current lives. So whether that be COVID, elections, police brutality, whatever is aligns with your campaign, and incorporate those things into your message when necessary.
Yeah.
You need to take advantage of the moment. You don't want to wait till things die down to try to
starts in 10 minutes.
Put a message there, and then make sure that you keep them with you. So we want you to either create an email campaign or a social media campaign. If you're going to do emails, you want to write at least 5 subject lines for your emails. Or if you're going to do social media, for Twitter example, and you want to come up with 3 tweets that embody everything that we just talked about relating to your message, or the written content for 1 Facebook post. So create a graphic and a caption, or you can create a graphic and a caption for an Instagram post. You can feel free to email that to us if you would like us to review it. But you want to make sure that your posts embody everything that we just talked about today. You want to make sure that you understand who your audience is. You're talking directly to your people, and that you're combating the toxic narratives that we talked about, and making sure your messages are responsive to the time, you're seizing the moment, and then that you're keeping them with you. So don't just give these posts or create these posts to be informative, but also give them some type of action step. So once you complete all that, feel free to email that for us to review and give you some feedback.
I'm muted. Thank you so much, Makala, for all of that. I appreciate every time you do that presentation. Like Makala said, start building your kit. Even if you do 1 email with multiple subject lines, you create a graphic and some captions and some hashtags. If you want to put together a Twitter, and feel free to email it to us. Makala, not that we're right all the time, but we're happy to help people navigate through and figure out how to build that social media toolkit so they can have a lot of content that speaks directly to their people, moves them towards action, and we get all of that out there, because that's how we build power and that's how we win. Thank you so much, Makala. I appreciate you. And I will talk to you in a minute.
Yeah, see you soon.
All right, bye. Thank y'all so much for joining us this morning and learning all about digital organizing. And we have a longer presentation. We have a 3-hour training that we actually put together. If anyone is interested in getting that training or participating in that training, feel free to email us here at she@citizenshe.com. Also, squad up, y'all. I'm getting calls from all over the country about people wanting to squad up. Allies are on it. Y'all, these Black men want to squad up and challenge these Black women on who's going to vote. I say we're going to win, so I accept any challenge that looks like that. But, come on, go to shesquadsup.motivote.us, click on it, form a team, join a team. I'm always trying to get that Michelle Obama book. We have prizes coming from across the country that I'm really excited about, that you all will be able to cash in for. Also, there's going to be a raffle for some earrings like this. Ha, 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 ha. So come on board, join us, squad up. Thank you so much for joining us this morning with our digital organizing training. Next week on Tuesday, we will be talking about the role of the district attorney. District attorney races are happening here in Louisiana. We're going to talk about what does the DA do, and why is that so important, and what kind of power does that have, and how does that impact our lives? So we'll see you all. And tomorrow, She Shows Up is at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. So join us for She Shows Up, and we'll see you next week on Tuesday talking about the DA. Y'all have a great morning. Take care.